Good morning. Thank you everybody for registering for the third CHSA drop-in webinar. The content of this webinar is regarding the requirements for ethical manufacturing audits. My name is Nikki Biggart. I am the CHSA Scheme Chair, and I manage and coordinate on behalf of the CHSA members the scheme manufacturer standards and technical regulations. And I work alongside with our third-party independent inspector, David Luffman, who is on the call if you'd like to wave. And I am supported by Lorraine Francis, who is responsible for any questions, queries on applications or anything else CHSA. And we have Kathy Connon, who is hosting the webinar, and Kathy is responsible for the CHSA brand and all our communications. And we also have David Garcia, who is one of our esteemed VPs and is also our treasurer on the CHSA panel. So as more people join, I would just like to say that the webinar is being recorded, so a copy can be and will be made available by Kathy after the meeting. So to start, basically, the reasoning behind the CHSA requirement for an ethical manufacturer audit was agreed with our members in order to ensure that all manufacturing by our manufacturer members and those of our member distributors, their supply and manufacturing partners, manufactured product and took product to market that was ethically manufactured and produced. And within this, the ethical audit minimum requirement, which is due to be reviewed for completion by our members, is by the 1st of January 2027. And within that, there are two levels of ethical audit. Of which we have a two-pillar minimum requirement, and those two pillars are based around labour standards and health and safety. Some of our members already have the full comprehensive ethical audit, of which also includes environment and the business ethics. So as we progress through the webinar, David will take you through a presentation of what is required if you are planning to become a member of the CHSA and one of our schemes, or you are a pre-existing member who is about to embark on your ethical manufacturing audit journey. But first, what I would like to take you to is that Kathy is going to very kindly share the CHSA website landing page. And on here, we will be able to demonstrate where you can actually access a significant number of our support materials. So if you go to our membership and then click on resources, it will then take you through to a ribbon that highlights all the schemes, the manufacturer and distributor schemes that we have. And by clicking on each of these, you will then be able to cascade down in a drop box effect and be able to access all the supporting information for each of those schemes. And if you are planning on joining, if you're not already a member, or if you're a pre-existing member, this is a great resource tab, and I would thoroughly recommend that you access this just to refresh your awareness of what's new as industry standards change, as do our scheme manufacturer standards and regulations change with our members' approval to ensure that we remain the high standard of what's on the box is in the box, which is our mantra of the CHSA. Now, within the resource page, it will take you to our ethical audit requirement, which if Kathy just clicks on that, hopefully we shall be able to open that up. So that's the ethical audit. We'll just get that for
I've
you.
got that downloaded, so I will share from there.
Fabulous. Yeah, thank you. So as Kathy is just about to share that, the ethical audit requirements is a slightly updated version, which will be released very soon. And within this document, it shows you what is required. I think this is it. Right. That's labeling. Okay, so this is, we've made some slight changes. So the official version will be available on our website very soon. And this really just outlines the correct, consistent interpretation and application of what the CHSA ethical audit requirement across all our manufacturing schemes. And if you're a distributor within the CHSA, then this is also what will be required of your manufacturing supply partners. If you are importing the goods or the goods are from a manufacturer that is not CHSA accredited within one of our schemes. So what is recognised? So the minimum is, as I said before, is the equivalent of a CEDEX, but we don't just accept CEDEX. There are a number of other options, of which BSCI, SA 8000 or WRAP are also applicable to these. What an ethical manufacturer audit requires is a third-party physical site visit. So within that, and other supporting evidence, but not standalone, is not sufficient. And those are the ISO 45001, B Corp certification, EcoVadis, and the CEDEX self-assessment. But I won't go into these in too much detail because David Luffman, who I'll hand over now, will actually take you through the actual requirements in more detail and what new company looking to get an ethical audit journey underway and what to prepare for. We'll take you through that now. Thank you. David, over to you.
Hi. You may have stolen some of my thunder there.
Sorry.
Key. That's okay. If you can bring up my presentation, that'd be great, Kathy. Thank you. Hello, everyone, by the way. Nice to meet you all, if I've not met you before. Thank you. Full screen that. That's great. So as Nikki alluded to, essentially the V4 document, which was released roughly this time last year to explain what the CHSA members had agreed. This is ultimately an update to that. As we've sort of lived it, I've lived it for 12 months. Obviously, I've learnt the best advice that I can give, and therefore I thought it's a good idea to give you my interpretation guidance and generate a V5 document, as Kathy had just put up on the screen previously. The thing with the V5 document, it's not quite ready for full release. It just needs to be have the CHSA brand identity added to it and made look good for marketing reasons, and then it will be available on the CHSA website.
It is the version on the website. It is the version on the website at the moment. The branded one will be updated once that's available, but the V5 document is the one on the website now.
Oh, that is there. Perfect. Thanks, Kathy. Sorry, I didn't understand that. That's good. So essentially, the CHSA say members must be able to demonstrate an ethical audit that's carried out by an internationally recognised audit body, provides confidence at a site level, covers labour standards and health and safety, and covers the manufacturing process. If you move on to the next slide, please. And as Nikki stated, essentially, the V4 document listed 6 providers as examples only. The key thing here is CHSA are not recommending any particular provider. It's up to you to find the best provider that suits your purpose, but as long as it's compliant. And I can clearly state that the 4 listed there So a SMETA minimum 2 pillar, BSCI, SA 8000 or RAP are all 100% compliant. I'm happy with that, and I'm happy because they do site level audits. There are other audits out there. They could be a bespoke audit, they could be work conditions assessment. It all says it here, but they must be provided by an accredited audit company, so somebody that we're aware of, and that it fulfills the scope for the CHSA. So we're going to look at the reports, especially if it's an amalgamation of lots of audits rather than just looking at your certificate. The reason for that, of course, is that we want this to be a robust accreditation through the CHSA, not just a tick box exercise. Okay, if we can go on to the next slide, please. So here's a list of the kind of evidence I would expect to see. Now, often, for instance, SEDEX, SMETA 2 pillar, I know what it covers, and it covers all of these things, as does SA 8000, whereas some of the other providers that I'm not fully aware of, I'll need to go through my checklist to make sure that all these things are being covered. So I just wanted to be completely open and honest. These are the kind of things I'm going to want to see, and that's why I've listed them here. And this is covered in the V5 document. So the key principle here is your ethical audit should comply and should provide evidence to demonstrate actual conditions, not just written policies. The reason EcoVadis, B Corp are not being taken as standalone evidence of an ethical audit is because they don't come to site. It's a document and or an online portal that's completed and checked over off-site, and then you get your grade. So there's no actual workplace visits. There's no interviews with staff. These are all things that the CHSA think are important. Next slide, please. So here I'm covering it off really. So ISO 45001, well, all of those listed here are all very reputable, very useful. I'm not making any judgment, any value judgment on how good an organisation or how good a certification they are. I'm just saying they don't quite tick the ethical audit box for the CHSA, and that's why I'm looking for, if this is what you have, you need to provide supporting evidence of other things as well, such as workplace interviews. So a combination of evidence could be acceptable, but I'll need to see everything. I've put a little line there why. So though EcoVadis and B Corp, etc., they assess systems, policy and organisational performance, but they don't normally provide independent verification of the conditions at the manufacturing site. So you may have the processes and procedures, but what we need to see is that they're being lived day to day at the manufacturing premises. Thank you. Next slide. So a little bit of a wrap up. So key takeaways: core requirements has not fundamentally changed. V5 document, which is on the resources page, clarifies what evidence is acceptable. Independent site level verification is the core requirement. I should have underlined site level, so not remote. Recognised schemes are the 4 stated there, and they remain the simplest route. So I'm not by any way endorsing one company or one system. All I'm saying is I know that these 4 will be the simplest route for me, but if you choose to take a different route, that's also acceptable. EcoVadis, B Corp and others will need supporting evidence, and on their own are not evidence of full compliance. Members should maintain evidence through periodic reassessment and continual improvement. So this is quite a standard across this kind of certification. Obviously, getting it done once is not enough. It needs to be regularly revisited. I would expect every 2 years, but you know, it's not a hard and fast rule. And often these assessments don't give you a pass fail, they give you a score, so that there's no black and white clarity there for me. So that's why I need to sort of understand exactly what your report said. And the objective is confidence in labour standards and health and safety, something that, you know, all it's a core principle of the CHSA, that we're doing the right thing. Simple test I've put there for simplicity's sake, I suppose. Can the evidence demonstrate what's happening at the manufacturing site, not just what the documents say? So are these being assessed at the shop floor level? And that's it for my presentation. Hopefully that explains everything. Happy to take any questions or queries. If anybody's got anything, please like click your raise your hand button or just shout, whatever. No, don't have to think of anything now. We can move on and then come back to it if anybody has anything. Great, so that's it for ethical audits. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. If there is any questions that come to light during the next 15-20 minutes, then please either, if you want, you can put them in the chat, and any of those we can share afterwards as well. What we would also like to show you is one of the core objectives of the CHSA is within our labelling requirements to ensure that your customers, your end customers, have absolute clarity of what they're actually receiving, what they're purchasing, but also what they should be expecting should match what's on the label is in the box. And we obviously have some strong and robust information regarding labelling requirements. Kathy, if you'd be good enough to launch that, and David, our independent inspector, regularly during his audit, it's a core finding that labelling cannot always be what it should be. And as the CHSA, we are very robust in that it must, the label is purchasing. And each of the schemes actually have very distinctive criteria as to their labelling, whether it's soft tissue, sheet size, length, number of rolls, etc., width, right down to plastic sack scheme, where it should be on the weight, the net weight should be clearly. So again, the consumer is able to understand what they're purchasing is going to be for purpose for the application. I think Kathy's just
step in here, Kathy.
Yeah, you could step in, David, please. Thank you.
Apologies, there's something going strange with the screen. I should be able to share in a second.
No problem.
Am I sharing?
You are, David. It's the plastic sacks non-CHSA manufacturers.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, as Nikki was referring to, there's various guidance in the resources section, and these are just two bits of guidance. These are essentially aimed at accredited distributors who choose to exercise their right not to buy from a CHSA manufacturer. It just shows that they must still comply with CHSA rules. So these documents are designed for accredited distributors to ensure they're still complying with the rules and what to request their manufacturers or suppliers to do to make sure they still comply. So we've got quite a lot of information in the resources pages, like I say, and these are just two of that. Does that cover that bit off?
David, it would be good just to maybe give an example of sometimes where you see non-compliance and what the impact of that is.
Do you want to share the labelling document now?
That would be good, Kathy. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
There you go.
Lovely. Thank you. So yeah, every scheme has information regarding what must be on the label. So, you know, our standards, your guarantee is one of the CHSA taglines, which is very important. Another one is what's on the box is in the box. So essentially the box should contain the required specification information for the product, and in the box should match what's printed on the outside of the box. That, along with the correct logo and traceability to the CHSA manufacturer. And this document kind of covers all of that, and it talks about the requirements for the label, as I say, in terms of specification, but also manufacturer's traceability and the confidential member numbers where needed. Some guidance on the use on the CHSA certification mark. So what I do find is people get the wrong logo or are still using a very old logo. We're improving that on every visit. We're improving that, but I also find that people are shrinking it so small it's unreadable. There is a suggested minimum 30 millimeters in width. I would call it length, but so keep the same aspect ratio. So don't squish it and compress it in different ways, but don't go below 30 mil. Yeah, do not distort. The colors is very important. So I understand that sometimes it can be a challenge when you've only got so many colors available. The CHSA brand guidelines clearly state that you either use the CHSA full color logo as shown there on the left hand side, or you use the grayscale black and white version. There no other versions are permitted. Private label. So where the manufacturer is not shown on the label. So sorry, let me restart this. I've just got a little note, so I want to make sure I got it. Want it bang on. So the CHSA accredited manufacturers schemes state that the manufacturer must be identified on the product. Now that's to make sure we're fully compliant. So if you're manufacturing a product that's a private label for a customer of yours, maybe call it a white label or a brown box product, lots of different names for them. Now, I understand completely that your customer may not want you to put, as a manufacturer, may not want you to put your name or logo or any tracing information on the product. However, the CHSA need to know that it was you that made it, because that's your accredited manufacturing status. Therefore, we provide you with a minimum of 6 confidential member numbers, which we ask you to put on. We expect you to put on the product, and those numbers are only known by myself and you as the member. So they're not shared with the CHSA. They're not kept in an area where the CHSA would have any access to them. It's purely between the independent inspector and you as a member. And I won't share them with anybody. What you do with them is up to you, because they're your numbers. And if you need more than 6, then you just have to ask, and I can give you a larger batch of numbers. And the purpose is I can use that number to identify you as the manufacturer. There is some challenges to this, I understand that, but that is the expectation, and we need to enforce that, please. Does that cover it?
Yep, that's good, David. Are there any questions on this? the labeling or the traceability?
Yeah, these are some of the common errors found. So soft tissue jumps out at me. Often we're either not saying what the product is. So we're not for toilet roll, for instance, we're not saying the size of the sheets, and that's a CHSA requirement, or the number of plies. We're for mops, we're not labeling them fully. Cleaning chemicals is often a challenge in terms of manufacturing identification, or we're not stating on a biocide, for instance, what the contact time should be. So every different manufacturing accredited manufacturing audit that I find, there's something that there's common themes of things that are missing from labels. So it does state in the standards, and I've tried to give you some guidance on here.
Brilliant, David. Thank you. I think, Kathy, we've got a question here from one of our delegates. I'm not sure if you can see that. I will just have a look. So from Norman, the logo used, this would only be the manufacturer's logo, for example, soft tissue, and not the customer's logo, which might not be soft tissue.
Yeah, hi, Norman. Yeah, well, I'm talking about the CHSA accreditation logo. The thing that ultimately your business is paying the membership fee for the privilege of using the CHSA accreditation mark, and that's the logo that I'm talking about. If you're referring to identification of you as a business, then the use of the confidential member number is the last resort. So if you're using, and it does say this in your scheme documentation, so Noman's from the soft tissue scheme. If your business name is acceptable, of course, because it's identifying you, or a brand which is directly linked to you. So one that I can commonly, I'm going to say, Google, and it'll tell me that you guys are the owner or the user of that. Or again, in soft tissue, there are other scheme acceptable methods. So for instance, your FSC number, that's acceptable within your scheme. But last resort, if none of those others apply, then confidential member number.
Okay, thank you.
We've got one question here that was submitted in advance of the webinar from Greyland. I think you've answered it, but I think it'd be useful just to explicitly clarify. Greyland manufacturers, some customers own bespoke products which are packed and labelled to their own specification. They are 100% responsible for regulatory compliance and audit us to ensure compliance to their specification and procedures. These customers will not want anything added to their approved artwork or bottle coding, such as a CHSA confidential member number added to their products or packaging. Would these products be exempt from the requirement under the CHSA standard?
In the standard, there is no exemption.
So no.
So no. So the short answer is no. And I do understand that all of the rules are written to try and encompass and try and find ways round challenges. But there's some things that are fundamental principles of the CHSA accreditation schemes. And one of those is the accredited manufacturer. If you're accredited, you must be identified on the product. And there's multiple ways of doing that. And the last resort, the minimum, is the use of one of your confidential member numbers. And I've you know, I like the reference to the incorporating it into the batch code. You know, that is really the last resort. If you're not permitted to do that, then I don't know what the answer is, but non-compliance from my point of view.
Thank you, David. Any other questions from any of the delegates? Basically, Bella, who do I contact to get the confidential numbers for the private label products?
That's
David.
me. Yeah. So yeah, just to reiterate that, I'm the person that holds it in a secure place, and I'll only email them to you. So they're kept completely confidential. I won't copy anybody in or anything like that. So that me. So please, Bella, send me an email, inspector@chsa.co.uk, and I will have a look at it and get back to you.
Great, thank you, David. Any other questions on this labelling or on the ethical manufacturer audit? Here we are here from Charlie Wannerton. Who is going to be liable if a white label customer does not want the manufacturer unique number on their labels, them or the manufacturer? So I think you may have already answered this already on the Greylands piece, basically, that.
Yeah. I'm kind
David.
of assuming that the customer has nothing to do with the CHSA, is not a CHSA member.
Sorry,
but you are. Yeah. Sorry, Charlie.
Sorry. Yeah. Just a quick question. So if they are obviously a distributor or all that side of it, but are a CHSA member,
yes,
I guess we're kind of on that kind of grey area that we're on now. Who is it then if they're actively refusing?
Yes. So if they're a CHSA member as well, so a CHSA distributor, for instance.
Yeah.
Then there was on the label document, Kathy, I don't know if you've still got it there available. There is a statement that says, guys, can you please work together on being compliant together? So if it's a distributor who's saying, oh, a CHSA accredited distributor.
Where is it, David?
I think it's at the bottom of one of the 3 pages. Here we go. Working together. Yes. Manufacturers and distributors must work together to ensure that compliance is built in, not removed. And essentially I'm saying, can you guys work together and make sure you're compliant? If there is a problem ultimately, then I can discuss it directly and be an arbiter for that and decide through interpretation who's the party at fault, I suppose. If you're both CHSA manufacturers, so you're producing for another CHSA manufacturer, then there is a bit of a grey area there. Now, the CHSA, the customer will probably want their name on it, but they're a CHSA manufacturer anyway, and that could be acceptable. That essentially means they're the person that's taking all of the manufacturing responsibility from an inspection and CHSA audit point of view. If they're not a CHSA manufacturer, then it should be the member that's doing it. So you essentially, Charlie. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions? If there is anything that any of you, once you've had a chance to go onto our website, read the ethical requirement document, and anything springs to mind, please do email schemechair@chsa.co.uk, that's me, or David. Please, and we're happy to assist as well, because it's a very important part of the upholding of our industry standards on behalf of our members, and it is part of our sustainable competitive advantage strategy as well, that we do encourage our manufacturers and our distributors in the industry to be working together collaboratively in order to ensure standards are maintained for the better good of the end user, and for absolute clarity of what the end user is purchasing. If there isn't any questions, then I think we will close the webinar. And I have to say thank you very much to my CHSA colleagues and to David our independent inspector for all your presentation, but also all your expertise. And as I say, please do visit our website or do email myself or David, and we're more than delighted to help. But thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.